Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and today is the 28th day of May, 2023. And this is also Memorial Day weekend, and it's also Pentecost, 50 days after Easter. So I have a story from Genesis, the second chapter. Now, in order to hear this in the way that I think it was intended to be heard, we have to imagine that we're sitting with a bunch of nomads about 3,500 years ago around a campfire in the evening, and they've been following the herds because that's their livelihood. And what they do around the campfire is they tell stories. And these are stories that are, some of the most important stories are about how did things come to be the way they are. And that's, scholars call that the etiological stories. How did things come to be the way they are? How does a cow get the name cow? Stuff like that. So this is part of a story about how do things come to be the way they are. And it's from Genesis 2, as I said, 18 to 25. Then the Lord God said, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make a helper as his partner." So out of the ground the Lord God formed every animal of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to the man to see what he would call them. And whatever the man called every living creature, that was its name. The man gave names to all cattle and to the birds of the air and to every animal of the field. But for the man there was not found a helper as his partner. So the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept. Then he took one of his ribs and closed up its place with flesh. And the rib that the Lord God had taken from the man, he made into a woman and brought her to the man. Then the man said, "This at last is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, for out of man this one was taken." Therefore a man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. And the man and his wife were both naked, and they were not ashamed. I've been excited lately at the prospect of participating in a wedding in about a month. And I haven't had a chance to officiate at a wedding in years, it seems like. Back in the old days, I did between 200 and 250 weddings a year at Northbury Community Church in Berkeley. Looking back, I was thinking I've done wedding vows in English, in German, in Polish, in Vietnamese, and there were some other languages back there that I'd have to go back and figure out what they were. About half of the weddings that I did happened at Northbury Community Church, where I was the minister for 27 years. The rest of the weddings were what I called home and garden weddings, and they could be anywhere, in a public park, in somebody's backyard, in the Berkeley Rose Garden, on a yacht on San Francisco Bay, on the campus of the University of California. There are lots of nice places. At Golden Gate Park, almost anywhere depending on the ingenuity of the wedding couple. I've officiated at weddings in the chapel in Yosemite Valley and in a redwood grove in John Muir State Park. One very special wedding was in a tiny chapel of a nobleman's castle in West Germany, with the principal violist of the Berlin Philharmonic, who was the uncle of the bride, playing in the balcony. I've learned a good deal from the more than 4,000 couples whose weddings I've conducted. I remember doing a wedding at the Claremont Hotel. I did many weddings there, but this one particular wedding occurred 1 week, or rather 6 days, after the Oakland Berkeley Hills fire, which consumed over 3,000 homes. The hotel, the Claremont, was nestled at the base of the hills, and the firefighters during the Oakland Berkeley Hills fire defended the hotel as kind of a final line of resistance to the fire, and they succeeded. The hotel was saved. From the front door of the hotel, you could look up the hill behind the hotel and see nothing but chimneys and tree stumps. That was all that was left after that fire had come through. The smell of smoke still permeated everything at the hotel, and the kitchen was operating on half power. 6 days before their wedding, the bride and groom had lost their house in the fire, along with all of their wedding presents, the wedding dress, their vacation clothes, their plane tickets to Hawaii. Everything was gone. But they were determined not to let the fire get the best of them. And so in borrowed wedding attire, in a smoke-infused hotel, they were determined to celebrate their love and their future life together. I was impressed by that couple. I was impressed with the resilience and hope of love. Love isn't just happiness and light. Love is stubborn, persistent, and tough. I give each wedding couple an 18-page set of resources for putting together their wedding ceremony. It includes various ways of doing the vows, different ways to say, different things to say when exchanging the rings. But my Build Your Own Wedding tool also contains readings about the mystery and the strength of that love relationship that a wedding celebrates. In some couples, looking back, particularly ones where the groom was not 20-something, he was older, chose a reading from The Velveteen Rabbit by Marjorie Williams Bianco. And about 2/3 of the way through this reading, you'll see how the groom takes a little bit of a hit in terms of what the story is all about. This is from The Velveteen Rabbit. "What is real?" asked the rabbit one day, when they were lying side by side in the nursery before Nana came to tidy the room. "Does it mean having things that buzz inside you and a stick-out handle?" "Real isn't how you're made," said the Skin Horse. "It's a thing that happens to you. When someone loves you for a long, long time, not just to play with, but really loves you, then you become real." "Does it hurt?" asked the rabbit. "Sometimes," said the Skin Horse, for he was always truthful. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt." "Does it happen all at once, like being wound up?" he asked, "or bit by bit?" "It doesn't happen all at once," said the Skin Horse. "You become. It takes a long time. That's why it doesn't happen often to people who break easily, or have sharp edges, or who have to be carefully kept. Generally, by the time you are real, most of your hair has been loved off, and your eyes drop out, and you get loose in the joints and very shabby. But these things don't matter at all, because once you are real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand." I want to share another reading from my Build Your Own Wedding resource packet. Like the Apostle Paul, it speaks of the nature of love. And this has stood the test of time, having been written in 1590. Sonnet 116 by William Shakespeare. Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out, even to the edge of doom. If this be error and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Now, God bless you. If this is helpful to you, I'm very glad for that. And if you do find this is meaningful to you, I'd appreciate it if you'd pass it along. I guess they call it share it, right? Take care, and thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.